What's going on, YouTube? Today is just a little kind of a catch-up video. Been doing a lot of kind of work off camera where we didn't show exactly everything we did, so we're gonna go over that real quick and explain what we did, why we did it, and if you want to duplicate it, how to do it.
So today we're doing a lot of little loose ends, trying to tie up everything, and as you can see, we've got some of the wiring in there for the Holley Terminator X, I believe. X Max, as a matter of fact. That's it right there, the head end. But I'm going to be dropping the intake on now, getting that torque down. See if you guys can see this or not, but that's the sequence we're using, and the torque spec is 89 inch-pounds, not to be confused with foot-pounds. So just set you guys up on a time lapse here. I'll get the intake put on, then we're going to do the fuel rails. I'll probably hook up the fuel lines because we've been running those too. So we've got our regulator installed here, fuel pump is under the truck, and then I've got my fuel lines. This one comes up, so that'll be the feed, and then we have the return coming off right here, which will be going over to that side basically, and then the feed comes in the back this side, and then there's a crossover in the front, which you guys will see all that once I get the manifold put on and then get the fuel rails on. But yeah, that's it. So let me get you guys set up on a time lapse, and we'll get moving.
So first off, we'll start with the Terminator X. This is where we're going to mount it for now. I made this little mount. All right, guys. So here we are making the mount for the Holley right here. So I know it's looking kind of elaborate, but I just kind of was messing around with this here, having some fun. So this is going to mount onto this plate, basically like this. And I just cut these holes in there, lighten it up a little bit. Because it's going to be kind of hanging off the fender. I'll show you what I mean there in a second. But so it's going to go like this, and this part right here is going to mount to the fender, and then I'm going to weld this plate, onto here. So it's going to kind of be at an angle like that, if you will. So going back over here, and this square tubing right here, you can see how thick it is. That's why I put all these holes in it, because it was pretty thick, but it was just laying around the shop. It was actually right there. That we picked up from somewhere, I don't know, but I decided to use that instead of trying to wait another day or two and go buy some more. So I put those holes into light nuts. It's way overkill, but it's here. So I'm not super stoked about it, but I ended up using the original. There's original threaded holes in this fender right here in the top and bottom, so I didn't have to drill any holes, cut or anything like that. So we'll see how it does. So like I said, it'll work for now. And that's where it's going to be. I really would have wanted it inside the truck, but I didn't want to drill any holes in the firewall to put all these wires. I mean, these are just a couple of them, and then there's a ton of wires that all plug into this thing that would have had to go through the firewall. I don't want to make holes to accommodate these giant wires, so we're going to put it here for now and see what happens. The catch can here for the vent, for the breather, basically, we got these holes. I don't know if we went over these holes in the valve covers, but there's 10 AN on that side and 10 AN on the other side. And they go to the catch can here.
See it back there where the light's shining? That's where it connects to the valve cover there. Breather can itself.
Yeah, I made a little bracket to mount this. I did have to drill a couple holes on the fender well, but 2 holes is not a big deal. So that's where this is going to be for now until we find out it doesn't work. Then we'll put it somewhere else. This radiator hose, it's an upper radiator hose off of just like an 06, I think, Chevy with the 5.3 in it. Pretty basic stuff. I probably cut like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 inches off of this. Maybe like 2 or 3 inches. And it tucked it in a lot neater. So I think that looks a lot better. Our charge pipe here, we had this welded by a KGI Welding, actually, in Albuquerque. He did a good job, man. Hooked me up. Price was fair. I'm happy with it. Blow off valve. This is a tile. don't even remember at this point, 50 millimeter maybe. It's been so long since I ordered that. It's just been sitting at the shop here, but that's on there. That's ready to go. What else?
Intercooler.
Intercooler. That's mounted. I don't know. You can maybe see the brackets. Where's that flashlight? I made a couple brackets for this. Again, using pretty much the bolt holes that were already in this radiator support, so we didn't do any drilling there. You can see the ones up, maybe up there. Had to make some arms that went out into, again, another hole that was already in this upper radiator support. And then we did the same thing on the other side. This should fit okay. We kind of loosely test fitted. We might have to trim the inside of the grill just a little bit to get this to fit in there, but these charge pipes, as you can see, they go through existing holes that were already in the radiator support. So we didn't have to drill any holes. I think one of them we might have had to open up just a little bit. I can't really remember, but and this had a little plate on it that we just had to, there was a couple little spot welds. You just had to grind those out and punch it out. And it was kind of a pain in the ass to make it work, but like I said, I've said over and over again, I don't want to cut this thing up if I don't have to as much as possible. I'm trying to save that. So that is that. What else? Time to get underneath it?
I think so.
So also we got the fuel pump mounted and the trans mounted. So I'm going to climb under the truck for this one and I'll explain to you kind of what we did here. So the trans mount, this is the stock cross member, and I ended up getting a mount off of like an 06 Chevy 2500, just at AutoZone or whatever. And it actually bolted, you know, of course it's going to bolt to the bottom of your trans, and then it came straight through, and then you just run your nut on the back of that. You can see it. They're at a weird angle. So then I got a tape measure and basically centered the trans in the tunnel, like by the output shaft there. And I ended up having to drill a couple holes. And I drilled 2 new holes to mount this cross member to the frame. That kind of sucked, but there's really no other way around it. So you can see that one and that one. Same thing on the other side, the 2 holes there. And I used my tape measure to square it off. So it really wasn't that hard. And I did take some measurements as far as where how high the trans was. It's pretty close to where it was stock. So we're going to go with that and kind of see what happens. These the trans lines, these were the original trans lines. When I got the transmission, they were, you know, of course they just cut them off. But so they sell these at Jegs with 8 or 6 AN end on them. So that's what I did. I got this one, and then the front was just a regular looking one like that. So they went inside the transmission and came out on a 6 AN. So that was pretty cool. And we made 6 AN lines to go up to the radiator, and also we had the adapters come out of the radiator for a 6 AN line. So I believe those were a M6 with a 150 with a 1.5 thread pitch to a 6 AN. And that seems to work. We haven't threaded them. We haven't ran any fluid, of course, through them. So I'll let you guys know if that works. Hopefully it does. Next we got the oil drain and the oil feed. Here is the feed. That little billet bracket right there, her little billet. It's kind of hard to show you. That right there, I got that from Motion Raceworks. They sell it on their website. It's pretty easy to find. And you need a pretty long line. So that goes, of course, to the top of the turbo. Kind of gets you a better view of that. There, it kind of looks like that. And then the drain is at the front of the oil pan. Probably gonna get in the way. I'm gonna have to get a different angle on that one, but let's go back to the fuel pump now. So there is our Holley fuel pump. Mounted right there in the frame. I made a bracket for that one as well, just a little angle bracket that this pump is actually bolted to. And I believe, I can't remember if I used the existing hole or if I had to drill them, but either way, that's how it is there. And then these just run back up to the tank. Got the filter right here. And I haven't mounted these, and these are, the feed line is 8 AN, the returns is 6. I haven't mounted these yet. I found these little clamps here at Ace Hardware. They're the biggest ones they sell, and it looks like they're actually going to hold both of them. So I'm just kind of waiting to get this exhaust pipe ran out of the back of the turbo before I mount these, because I don't know exactly if I want where I want to put them. If I want to put them like up here, or maybe try and put them on top of the frame. But more than likely, they're just going to go somewhere here. And again, I'm going to use these existing holes to mount this, or maybe this hole or something like that. We'll figure it out. But let me run around. I'll see if I can get to that drain line, that oil drain. So here's where the feed goes to, of course, from the bracket or the Motion Raceworks deal, and that just goes all the way along the bottom. Down there, here's my trans lines I was talking about. 6AN, that was a 90 right there, and then 6AN on the bottom, and that's just a straight AN fitting, and those kind of tuck alongside the motor and go straight back. Here's the drain. That one right there is a turbo drain. That's a 10AN. I'll get underneath here. I'll see if you can see it. I decided to go with a like a bolt-in type bung instead of a weld-in. So I just didn't want to have to deal with taking that somewhere and waiting for that. So we'll see. I've heard they work pretty good, so we'll see. I'll let you know. But that's it right there. Just in the front, and you don't want to weld. You don't want to put that into standing oil. You want that up where the there's not going to be any oil, so it can run through there. So it can fall down to the bottom. So yeah, that's about it. We got some of the wires ran for the Terminator. I'm about to start plugging those in here pretty soon. But yeah, she's coming together. There's my regulator. I don't know if I showed you guys that. Fuel pressure regulator with the gauge on the front, the Holley unit there. The return line goes straight down under the truck. I actually might have to move that because it might end up interfering with that exhaust, but we'll see. The O2 sensor from the Holley is going to run over here and then probably into the exhaust down there. And I'm going to try and keep AC on this thing, so I just kind of bent this. This came out straight, but I'm going to bend this out of the way and hopefully run them maybe around the turbo, something like that. I still have the condenser in there behind the radiator, and the little ports are bent down that way, so maybe right there, maybe I'll be able to use that. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, lower radiator hose, that's again stock 06 Chevy 5.3 type stuff. It bolted right up. We still have to put clamps on it, but this is just mocked up right now, and then of course we'll tighten everything up. I'm gonna get the radiator overflow can is gonna go right there somewhere, a catch can. I got a special cool little deal for that. I'll show you guys here in a little bit. Well, maybe the next video or the next couple videos, but I have a pretty cool plan for that, so I'll show you that when I get it done. And otherwise that's about it. I'm thinking maybe another couple weeks and we should be ready to try and fire this thing. So fingers crossed that everything's gonna work out, and then we'll be ready to go. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and if you made it through the video, like I said, thanks again. Do yourself a favor, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, of course, and hopefully we'll do this. And we got some more cool stuff coming up too, so just keep your sit tight. Like I said, we got some cool stuff. Also waiting on suggestions for cigar and some drinks. We'll probably do that in another video or two. Usually don't do that during the week because I still have a job to show up to. So yeah, again, cool stuff. We'll see if we can get these guys to do. I'm sure after a week we'll be smoking crack and drinking Steel Reserve. I don't want to do that. So yeah, otherwise I'll cut this off. I'm rambling at this point. So thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.